When I first encountered Titus Morris, I did not meet him in person. Instead, like thousands of others, I stumbled across his life through a screen, on a video by Peter Santinello. Peter's interviews often highlight people who live differently, people who choose paths that defy the expectations of mainstream society. In Titus, he found such a man, a solitary figure tucked away in the mountains, living without government ties, seemingly untouched by the chaos of the modern world. My first impression was simple and pure: this is a good man. There was no sense of deceit in his words. He spoke of God, of gratitude, of finding peace in simplicity. His home was humble, his clothes worn but clean, his mannerisms soft-spoken yet firm. To me, he seemed like a rare jewel, an example of how faith could anchor someone even in the most stripped-down circumstances. I found myself admiring him more than I expected. He was hardworking, sincere, and honest, qualities that are often missing in a world obsessed with appearances and convenience. At one point, I even entertained a thought I quickly erased: I could marry a man like this. The thought startled me, not because it was rooted in romance, but because his life, though difficult, radiated a kind of stability that I respected deeply. Still, I deleted the thought as quickly as it came, almost afraid of how far admiration might lead me. For a while, I did not think of his flaws. I did not question his past or speculate about his struggles. I simply received his words at face value, the way one might accept water from a clear mountain spring, refreshing, untainted, and life-giving. But then, the internet pulled me deeper. As I scrolled through the comments section beneath Peter's video, a heavens settled over me. Viewers had strong and divided opinions. Some praised Titus as an authentic man of God, while others accused him of hypocrisy, immorality, and even criminal behavior. The contrast was jarring. The man I had just admired so deeply was being torn apart by strangers, judged and ridiculed with a harshness that shook me. Even before I read the details, my spirit felt disturbed. It was as if God was warning me: do not take this story at surface level. There is more here than meets the eye. And then came the flood of revelations, videos, blogs, and testimonies both for and against him. People recounted stories of his past, accusations of sins so dark they were almost unbearable to hear. My heart broke. The image I had built of Titus as a pure, humble man collided with the reality of his deeply flawed humanity. I felt conflicted. How could the man who spoke of God so sincerely also be accused of such disturbing sins? How could the humility I saw exist alongside such darkness? The tension between admiration and disappointment weighed heavily on me. And yet, in the middle of my confusion, I sensed the Holy Spirit whisper: do not look at him as the world does. Look at him as I do. This was not easy. Like many others, I wanted to judge. I wanted to condemn. But the Spirit reminded me of the words in Romans 3:23, "For all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God." Titus was not unique in his brokenness. His sins, though perhaps more visible and shocking, were not beyond the reach of God's mercy. I realized then that my first impression of Titus had not been wrong. He was sincere. He was humble. But sincerity does not erase sin. Humility does not undo a painful past. What I had seen was not perfection, but potential, the seed of God's work in a man who desperately needed redemption. This tension, between who Titus is and who God is shaping him to be, is at the heart of his story. And perhaps that is why I could not walk away from it. For in Titus, I began to see a reflection of all of us, broken vessels, carrying cracks and scars, yet still chosen by God for purposes greater than ourselves.